Have you ever wondered how someone goes from being broke, scared, and angry to becoming one of the most powerful motivational forces on the planet? Tony Robbins didn't start out rich, confident, or fearless. In fact, he grew up in chaos, poverty, an abusive home, and nights when there was no food on the table. He's talked about a Christmas when a stranger brought food for his family, and how that moment planted a seed in him. The seed that said, "Life can change if I do," that became Tony's obsession. What makes people change? Why do some people rise while others stay stuck in fear? And that's how his strategy from fear to freedom was born. Tony's entire philosophy can be summed up in one line: the quality of your life is the quality of your emotions. He realized that most people are trapped, not by their circumstances, but by the emotions they live in every day. Fear, anxiety, doubt, these aren't just feelings, they're habits. And habits can be changed. In his early days, Tony studied everything from psychology to neurolinguistics to human behavior. He became obsessed with rewiring his own brain, with training his mind to act even when fear screamed, "Stop." He discovered that freedom doesn't come from waiting for fear to disappear. It comes from conditioning your mind and body to move through it. That's why his first rule is simple. Motion creates emotion. You can't think your way out of fear, you move your way out. That's why in every Tony Robbins event you'll see people jumping, shouting, moving, because he knows physiology changes psychology. You stand taller, you breathe deeper, and suddenly fear loses its grip. The second part of his strategy is focus. Tony says, where focus goes, energy flows. If you keep focusing on what could go wrong, your brain will find fear. But if you train yourself to focus on what could go right, your brain finds courage. Freedom begins when you take control of what your mind pays attention to. And the third, the most powerful, is meaning. Tony teaches that nothing in life has meaning except the meaning you give it. He could have looked at his painful childhood and said, "I'm broken." Instead, he decided, this pain made me care more deeply about others. He turned suffering into service. That's why his life mission became helping millions overcome their own fears, because he knew exactly what it felt like to be stuck there. From awaken the giant within to unlimited power, Tony's message is clear. You don't need to eliminate fear, you need to outgrow it. The moment you act despite fear, you break its control. The moment you turn pain into purpose, you find freedom. So when you feel paralyzed, remember Tony's story, the kid who had nothing but a dream, who turned fear into fuel and pain into power. You don't need a perfect start. You just need the courage to begin, even when you're terrified, because fear is not your enemy. It's your invitation, your test, your mirror. And once you learn to face it, you're no longer a prisoner, you're free.